Good morning. Welcome back to Failure to Stop podcast channel, number one channel where law enforcement first responders go to be informed and entertained 5 days a week. Political news Wednesday. It's what it's all about today. And boy, it's a doozy. The political show that we do on Wednesday, fastest growing show on the entire network. That right there, right behind Anti-Hero podcast. But the reason why is because it's an election season and it's just everything is so hot. We've got the Olympics and we've got World War III. We've got it all. So this show is like at one time was the hardest show on this channel for Josh and I, has now become absolutely the easiest show. The hardest part about doing this show is trying to figure out what 3 or 4 stories we want to cover in just an hour, because the show is only an hour long and there's so much news out there. But I think we do a really great job of picking the key points that'll get you through the week. Joined today by Jason Kiefer from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. Today he's going to fill in for Conservative Anthony because he's Conservative Ant's on the road. As per usual, coming back from the RNC, heading over doing a wedding at Trump's at Mar-a-Lago with the Trump family. And, he's just got a lot of things going on. We saw on the phone with him yesterday. Some other big news for the Failure Stop podcast channel is the October 18th meetup in Orlando, Florida with Anti-Hero podcast, Two Cops, One Donut Shop podcast, and many, many more. Maybe Combat Creative Co. might even show up. Conservative Anthony, Eddie Gallagher. There's talks that Kyle Rittenhouse is going to be there. We've got a stand-up comedy show that Friday night at Tactical Brewing Company in Orlando. Tickets will be up for sale soon. That's to pay for all the comedians that are showing up. And then that Saturday is a big giant concert with the Black Rifle Coffee guys. Lots of other bands. We are all staying at the Sheraton North Orlando. There's a discount there. All you got to do is tell them you're with Shell Shock or Anti-Hero podcast, get you a discount rate. That's where we're all staying for that Friday and Saturday for the October 18th and 19th meetup. Hope to see you guys all there in Orlando, Florida. For today on the show, we've got Israel bombing Beirut. Big deal. American propaganda not talking about it right now because it's that scary. They're like, you know what? This is so scary. We're only going to skim the surface. We're not going to tell the American public exactly what's going on because it's an election season. But what's going on there could be catastrophic. And I'm not being hyperbolic. This is a big deal. I've been covering this for months. This is the one thing that we didn't want to happen. It happened. And it looks like there are going to be consequences, whether the mainstream media wants to talk about it or not. Tanstradamus usually isn't wrong. We also have this woke agenda that's starting to make itself clear and more clear during the Olympics, excusing certain athletes that are mainly just Christian athletes. So we'll dive into that just a little bit because we know that there's a lot of Christian or religious uproar what's going on. And it's a battle that was started on purpose. And there's a reason why so many people are arguing about the open ceremonies and the Olympic agenda versus talking about the actual athletes and the actual sports. And that was all part of the plan. And I'll spell it out for you here on today's show. And then, this is a funny thing I want to touch on, though, with this Israel thing, is that the Trump assassination attempt, they've always been trying to tie that to Israel. I really think had this thing not have been thwarted or screwed up and that he would have died, I think they would have been able to tie it very quickly back to Israel. But the plan didn't work. And so now they didn't have an emergency plan. And so the whole plan in general is falling apart at the seams, coming apart. And they're having a hard time picking up the pieces and putting them together because now we have these text message leaks. We have the actual SWAT team coming out to the news. Anyway, we're going to dive all into it today here on Failure to Stop's Last Call. A bunch of people in live chats. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. Take it away, Joshua.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on
Sunday. This is
Sunday.
about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Guns up, giddy up. Welcome to Last Call. A lot of people in the live chats. Love to give you guys a little quick shoutsies. Armory Knight, Low Rin, Will Gray, David J. Let me keep scrolling up there. Good to see all of you guys in the chats today. And hopefully we'll see most of you guys at the Orlando meetup. Join with me today, Deadleg Media, who got a haircut. Looks like a tight fade going up there. Nope, he just shaved it all off. And then we also have Jason Kiefer, who's got the soul patch, as usually from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. And it's good to see all of you guys here today. How are all of you? What made you shave your head? Was it the Colorado fire?
I did it before the fire, but yeah, it's just so hot, and I have really, really thick hair, and I don't care. So usually after a while, I'll cut it off and shave it off, and so now it's gone. It'll grow back in a couple weeks.
Okay. All right.
I thought he caught a charge and was getting ready to go in.
Yeah. He was like picking his sides already. He's like, just I don't want any. I don't want to be anybody's pocket.
Well, that way too, no one can identify if they're looking for a guy with long hair.
Loren says he did the same thing. Will Cray in the chat says he'll be at the meetup to get his signed skateboard, which he didn't take home with him for whatever reason on the last meetup. I can't remember why, but what a pain in the ass that's been for him. Hopefully he's learned his lesson and he'll just take that skateboard deck, that autographed skateboard deck, and take it on the plane like a real man. A lot of stuff going on in the news today. We don't have a lot of time for banter just because there's so much to cover. Let's go ahead and kick it off with this recording that you got here, Josh. Go ahead and put that up there.
So this is Josh Holloway talking to the new acting Secret Service director. It's about 7 minutes long, so we're going to stop it and talk about it throughout the middle of it. But this is incredible how well he dismantles this guy.
Your team took of the roof, the AGR roof. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so from this vantage point, as the law enforcement who are in those windows, as they look left, they should be able to see the shooter clearly there on the AGR second floor roof. My question is, why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper on that roof?
So, Senator, when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees. So that they can provide that coverage.
But why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper there?
The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us from where the protectee is, not necessarily
you think maybe you might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
They were protecting the principal, and I think
the principal got shot.
Understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this. Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty. I know their name, by the way.
Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility. And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out.
I'm just going to point out every police shooting, every one that we've ever covered, and any one that we're going to cover from this point forward, as soon as you discharge your weapon in the line of duty, you're on vacation. They take your gun, take your badge, take everything away until the investigation's done. Their job is to make sure that no one gets killed on their watch, and someone got killed on their watch. And instead of taking their gun and badge away and making sure that that person, whoever the people were that making these decisions, instead of stopping them from being able to make more bad decisions, they've just let them continue to operate.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I mean, a police officer going through it right now said Juneteenth isn't a real holiday. However, my birthday has always been on June 19th. You're welcome for the day off. They took his gun and his badge. He is on administrative leave for just saying something like that on a Instagram storyboard. First time offender, has no other disciplinary action when it comes to anything like this, and he's sitting at home without his gun and his badge over something as minor as that. That could be a write-up, it could be a policy violation, but taking somebody's gun and badge away and allowing it to go viral and playing into the media, by the way, made mainstream news all around North Carolina. They published this story everywhere as if it was a huge deal, when we all know it's not. But then you have these guys who literally allow a president to get shot in the most incompetent operation that we have ever seen as the American people looking out. I mean, just, at least with JFK, it wasn't like an incompetence thing. You know what I mean? It was kind of like, it at least had the appearance of a freak accident. We know that it wasn't, but at least it appeared to be. So this is just so blatantly ridiculous and out of character that it begs you to question every detail of this. And the guy still work. The guy that decided to not put this building
not just that person, the entire team, everybody that was there at Butler, no one has been relieved of duty. No one has been fired. The only person that has quit or ever whatever is Sheetal. That's it. Nobody else. I mean, Keefe can tell it. Keefe has no tactical training like I do or like Eric does. Does that roof look like it should be somewhere you would maybe put someone, Keefe?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and when you look at the aerial, the aerial picture, and all I keep hearing is, well, it's outside the perimeter, and what this, what this idiot's saying, well, we're only dealing with where you're looking in at the protectee. Obviously, that guy had a perfect freaking angle to be able to nick the ear. Luckily, just nick the ear.
Well,
it's just like every other. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're breaking up, so it's hard to tell when you're talking when you're not. You're breaking up. So,
I'll leave the studio and come back.
No, you're good. When they're looking in, when they're looking out at the guy looking, and we now know that they have cell phone, their verified cell phone text messages that they had eyes on this guy for an hour and a half, which you're going to talk about here in a second, because that's a big story. It's these leaked text messages, and I don't know if they're necessarily leaked, but it makes you wonder why those text messages got out, and who's allowing them to come out. We'll talk about it here in a second. Go ahead and keep playing this clip for us.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include.
Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here. And you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty. What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
No, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed spectacularly.
As the person who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one,
what more do you need to investigate to know
exactly what the decision-making process was?
Investigate to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigator.
It's crazy because how fast did any of the Uvalde officers get relieved of their command?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Real quick. When they want accountability, they're going to get you accountability, whether it's fair or not, which, unfortunately, like, I don't necessarily disagree with the FBI in that there has to be an investigation before you can just point fingers. However, being relieved of your duties is not with pay is not out of the realm, right? Like if you take somebody like Uvalde, if there's a critical incident like that, and you relieve me of my duty temporarily by putting me on administrative leave with pay, I understand that. That makes a little sense, right? We know that you have to do that. We got to keep, and the reason why you got to do that is because the cleanliness of the investigation. If I am caught up in something really bad and you allow me to go to work status quo, I can start talking to Kiefer. I can start talking to Deadleg in the locker rooms. I can start whispering. I can start corroborating a different story or writing a different narrative. And so when we separate you, we put you on a gag order, because when you are on admin leave, you're on what's called a gag order. You're not allowed to talk to other officers. You're not, they cancel your key fob and all of these things. So I think it is important for the purity of the investigation that they put these guys on administrative leave. And also, you got to have time. There were mistakes, crucial mistakes made that the senator here is bringing up that we've all kind of questioned. And it's been long enough that these questions are sus, as the kids would say. These are...
Because the other thing is for like Uvalde or a police shooting, let's go ahead and hypothetically say that it was a bad shoot. And in between the time of that shooting and the time that this is adjudicated, you give them the gun and the badge and you let them go back out there on the street and they shoot somebody else. Or this happens again. Now the agency not only has to pay out for the first one, they're going to have to pay out for the second one because they were already aware of the first one, and you let them go back out there. So that's why we're talking about the liability and accountability on this. They already know something happened. They screwed up royally. And instead of looking inward and saying, hey, we need to stop and make sure that we're doing the right thing here, people, they're like, okay, we're just going to keep on with the status quo. Just keep on going. Just pretend like nothing happened. Google's going to take care of the censorship on that. And Meta's going to make sure that everyone thinks that this picture is fake. But they're just steamrolling down the road, and there's no accountability. The people that were in charge then are the same people that are in charge now. That is shockingly scary. That should, like, to your core, you should wonder what's really going on. They're not doing anything to stop what's going on. They're not doing anything to really look at finding out what's going on. This whole thing is like 7.5 minutes long. It gets way, way worse for this.
Yeah, we're going to keep playing it. Before we do, though, Keith being a supervisor role in a fire department and things like that, if there was a critical incident where, let's say, 3 or 4 firefighters were on a roof, the roof caves in, 1 or 2 of them die, do you think some leadership would be on admin leave while they figure out how those guys fell off the roof, or would they just let you go just let you go business as usual on to the next call?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody's going to get pulled aside. The incident commander, who ultimately was in charge of that scene, is going to be interviewed. Whether they'll put him on administrative leave or not, I mean, it depends on the circumstances. If somebody died, then yeah, I think everybody that's there is going to be put on administrative leave until you figure out, what exactly happened, who made what call, was it an accident, should the guys have been there, and then NIOSH is going to come in and do a whole full-blown investigation and interview everybody, just like this. What gets me is these congressional hearings, there are never any answers. It's always, well, it's under investigation. Cheadle didn't answer a single thing. Yeah. And this guy's just referring back, and I don't understand why these guys who are being interviewed or questioned, whatever term, why they're not their feet aren't held to the fire to actually provide some answers. Some you can't give right now. I get that, but a lot of these things can be answered.
And I think one of the big questions is why isn't anybody on administrative leave? Like, I think, to me, that's why I don't know. Again, it's just something I've never heard of. Like, police departments put people on administrative leave all the time for barely anything. Right. And in this, you have a catastrophic incident. And like, they're just going on business as usual. And there were some like really bad mistakes. I mean, these text messages that we're going to go into here in a second are not good. Like, it's not a good look for anyone. It like defies any common sense. And I say that, like, that if you've listened to this show, I always give law enforcement the benefit of the doubt. And I always say, like, what's common sense to you is not really common sense when it comes to tactics and with law enforcement, because we have a different view from on the ground. We have different policies that we have to adhere to. There are different things, but I know a lot of these policies. I've talked to enough and I've interviewed enough people. It's been enough time that every one of these things, every one of these issues, some of them, I get it. It might not be as common sense as we think, but putting somebody on admin leave, that's insanity. Every agency, every big corporation would do it, but the Secret Service doesn't do it. It doesn't make any sense. Go ahead and push play.
to do their job, and I cannot.
people didn't do their
I cannot
jobs.
put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
What do you mean put your thumb on the scale?
You're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody to
And I will
hold
tell
them
you,
accountable.
Senator, I will tell you, Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put people
I can't believe
unfairly
that you
persecuted.
are unfairly persecuted.
Unfairly,
We've got people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally-goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it. Let me ask you something else. The Real Clear Politics reports this morning that you were directly involved in denying additional security resources and personnel, including counter snipers, not just to this event, but over the last 2 years, that President Trump's team repeatedly asked for these additional resources, and you personally were involved in denying them. Is that true?
Senator, as I stated earlier, that is not true.
So you never denied any resources to former President Trump's team?
No, not me. No, sir.
And
not
you
personally.
weren't involved in any of that? You
No,
were never
sir, I
involved
was
in the
not.
decision-making?
No, sir, I was not.
Let me ask you just one or two other things here quickly. Well, whistleblowers tell me that, in fact, law enforcement were stationed to be on that roof and that law enforcement abandoned their post because it was too hot. Is that accurate?
Senator, I have heard that as well. Again, they posted up inside. And I think moving forward, as I said earlier, we're going to ensure that state and local counter snipers are on roofs.
But do you know if someone was supposed to be on the roof? Do you know if someone was in fact? That's what the whistleblowers tells me. That may or may not be accurate. Do you know that to be the fact? Was somebody posted to the roof, local law enforcement or whomever?
I do not know that to be a fact.
Well, can I ask you why you don't know that?
Again, Senator, we are looking at this, and they should have been on that roof. And the fact that they were in the building is something that I'm still trying to understand.
I just want to express my frustration, Director, that 17 days or whatever it's been, that whistleblowers are telling us more than you are, and you don't know, you haven't ascertained if there was supposed to be law enforcement on the roof. That seems like a pretty basic fact. I'm also told that local law enforcement suppliers offered the Secret Service drones, and you declined them. Is that true?
So, Senator, one, I've been very transparent and forthcoming.
Your agency has not been transparent and forthcoming, so please, let's not go there.
I have been forthcoming, sir.
That remains to be seen. You've been on the job a few days. So far, you've fired nobody. Now, the drones.
Thank you,
Were
sir.
you offered drones?
Senator
So there
Hawley.
was an offer to fly a drone on that day.
And why did you deny it?
Again, I think the ability of local law enforcement to provide an asset, we probably should have taken them up on it.
Yep.
Jeez.
You think?
But here's the thing: is like this guy's only been in charge for like 2 days, right?
Yeah, but you don't all of a sudden become the leadership. This guy was in leadership before. He just was the new guy to move up the stuff. And if he's been involved, what they're reporting on is he's been involved in denying extra stuff for at least the last 2 years. Him specifically, not the Secret Service, but his name specifically. So it's just incredible that here we are almost 10, 20 days after the fact. We know more about someone's manifesto when they shoot up something else than we know about this. This happened on live TV. There's zero question what happened. We debated for a couple days whether it was a bullet or a fragment. These are the things that we're talking about. They're talking about things that have nothing to do with, they're nuanced. They're trying to get to the bottom of this. Did this guy have a social media account? Have we looked into that? Because there's supposed to be a Gab account that this guy had, but it's unconfirmed, and that his house, when they searched his house, was, quote, surgically clean. That's not normal things. Keith, is your bathroom surgically clean?
Fuck no.
Nope. If you go to my toilet right now, you're gonna probably tell me I need to clean it. But this guy's bathroom was. This guy's whole house was surgically clean. That's not normal behavior. I mean, obviously, trying to shoot someone and assassinate is not normal behavior either. But that's not normal behavior. Trying to figure out where these phones were and suspected that it was connected with places in DC. That's weird. There's a lot of weirdness that's coming out of this. And instead of the weirdness getting attached to this, we have weirdness everywhere else. I have another clip you want to see.
The lack of drones was one of the first things that once some of the story came out that shocked the hell out of me. Coming from an agency that has a regional drone team, very simple, very cheap, very easy to deploy. And you're not putting people in harm's way. And you're not necessarily in this scenario, but when we're out on SWAT call-outs, you don't have to put cops, SWAT officers right at the house. You can have Overwatch, and with a drone, and I know there are some really, really good drones out there that you wouldn't even know it's there, but you can Overwatch that. And it wasn't a huge area. You could have watched the whole freaking area.
For anything, for any purpose other than to have it all videotaped in case some shit went down, like, have an aerial of footage. But, even if you go to any of these like big sporting events, they have these like drone de-jammers or like these drone jammers where they jam the signal and they'll bring drones down and things like that. So it's like, how do you get that for a baseball game, but you can't get it for protecting the president? Before you go on to this clip, actually go ahead and play your clip. And then what I want to talk about is, weeks before the Trump assassination attempt, they were talking about how Iran was planning a plot to kill the president. And then all of a sudden we have this whole debacle that has just unfolded and blown up in their face. And what we have now are encrypted emails. We've got drones. We've got expensive guns. We've got scopes. We've got training. We got all of these things out of a 20-year-old kid whose parents aren't even like hunters or experts. Like my kids are well-versed in trapping and hunting because of who I am. Because I introduced them in homeschool to the SAS survival manual, because I am a CRC qualified survival, specialist, if you will. And so, I put that on my kids, right? Like they have knot tying class every day for homeschool. They've got to tie certain knots. They do it while they're skateboarding. They set snares all around the woods and they catch things and they clean things. But that's something I put on them, and they would never know like my son wouldn't know the difference between a 12 gauge round and a 10 gauge round or a 20 gauge round, and what barrel you can use for each bullet. If it were up to my kids, they'd be, putting bullets in every barrel size and every shotgun, and it would be catastrophic. So the point of a 20-year-old whose parents are, nothing more than, you saw the parents, right? Like, I'm not being insensitive here. They're super unhealthy, out of shape therapists, social workers, just government drones is what I like to call people like that. They just kind of wake up and go day to day. So where did this kid learn all of these skills? Where did he learn surveillance and counter surveillance? Where did he learn to find a rangefinder, which rangefinder to buy? Rangefinders aren't cheap. Where does he get a drone? How does he figure out that he can fire the drone? How does he, it's just, how does he stay one step ahead of these guys? And so, and I think these text messages are very telling. So before we get into that, show your next clip, and then that's what we're going to dive into.
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. It's quite weird. They're just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate, they're weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird, it's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird.
What it is post the assassination attempt, they're having to dial down. Trump is dangerous and demonic. He's going to be Hitler when he gets into power, though they're still doing a bit of that. What did he say to that Christian audience? He's going to make himself dictator for life. He admits as much. I think he was joking. No. Since the assassination attempt and the subsequent apologies, they've had to go, we have to dial down the demonization of Donald Trump, but we're going to dial up getting him off Google searches.
Right. I'm glad we showed that clip. That has nothing to do with my Trump assassination stuff, but I get it. You guys want to move on? It's fine. We're moving on. We're moving on to the whole weird thing. Well, listen, I promise by the end of the show, we will go back to the text messages. We'll finish it up, but we will scooch along because we have been on this for 30 minutes now, and I still have to do an ad read, which is weird. But you know what's not weird is ghostbed.com's offering 50% off. I don't know. Maybe it's weird to anybody. Doesn't have to be just first responders. Go to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack or use the promo code Wolfpack. Get you 50% off. We're talking about the cooling sheets with the cooling technology, the adjustable base, the pillows, the pillow cases with the cooling technology, all of the things over at Ghostbed that make you get sleep so good it's scary. It's all available to you. Actually trying to get a massage comforter over to our guest that was on the show. Jessica Sutta from Pussycat Dolls joined us for 2 shows this week and wants to do a third with us. So a lot of fun there with Jessica Sutta and the Pussycat Dolls, but she's really interested in the massage topper for her vaccine related illness. She's constantly having to heat and cool her muscles and all these things. So we're going to try to get Ghostbed, send her one of the massage toppers, but head over to ghostbed.com. Support us by supporting those who support us by going to ghostbed.com, using the promo code, get you a pillow, get you the cooling sheets, the adjustable base, get you the bed, get you the Williams, the tennis player, Serena Williams model with the copper healing technology in it. All great things. So going back to your video, Josh, with the weird stuff, this coming from the folks who butt fuck in the Oval Office or wherever it is they got caught butt fucking, where they have trans folks showing their titties on the lawn, where they're the recent where expo exactly where they're twerking. Play this now. This you think is fake because obviously Josh's favorite part of this was Hunter Biden being photo imposed doing the Hunter Biden dance, but no, the twerking in the background was actually real. Go ahead and play. Do you have that clip of them actually dancing and the lyrics to the song? Now imagine this for 1 minute, folks. Imagine you're going to one of these rallies, these political rallies. You've got this new excitement for Kamala Harris, and if you're going to a political rally, Keith, what do you think the demographic is for a rally? What do you think the average age is for a rally?
I would say probably 35 and over.
35 and over. What would you say the people that go to these rallies, are they more mature or immature?
Usually mature. Yeah,
usually mature. They're usually probably interested in, what do you think they're interested in at a rally? Like, what do you think they're interested in learning? Like, if you're my Democrat friend, I'm taking you to a conservative rally, what am I hoping you'll get out of that rally?
I would hope to learn a little bit of the quote unquote policy that you're going to try to put forth to try to help me as an American person.
Yeah. Now, when there's a Republican Trump rally, what is the song that maybe Donald Trump walks out to? What songs are you going to hear, Josh? What are the lyrics?
Proud to be American.
Yeah, that's a big one at all the Trump rallies. Yeah, proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free. The lyrics from Kamala Harris rally was, any N-word I let is still attached, but this pussy fat. While twerking. Imagine sitting with your liberal grandmother, taking her to a rally, and show the picture of these ladies twerking. I forgot who they were, but put that video back up there. Megan Thee Stallion. Look at this debaucherous display of just ass to the crowd, straight whop, 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 whop. I mean, just
this guy's
booty
into
clapping. He doesn't look happy. Let's be real. And everybody's just kind of like, what the fuck? And this just shows you how detached the left has become. I don't like to make it a left versus right thing, but when you look at like the left's attempts at social media versus like the rights, it's so fake. I mean, like as far as like text messaging, right? Everybody's talking about how sick and tired of these Kamala Harris text messages are, right? Makes everybody super mad. I just respond with eat a dick every time. But if we remember going back, they have the the thing that they held in New York, which was just a train wreck of an event. Didn't work out well for them at all. And then they try to go with the BET Awards, and they're like, what, you out on those streets, Kamala? What's going on them streets? And it's so cringe. And everybody's like, God bless. Like, this is fucking talk about weird. That's fucking weird. So it's funny that they're calling JD Vance weird and that they're going really hard in the paint on this whole weird thing when we know that everything that they've done has just been, even their Twitter account, people complain about like just how Biden just spams the shit out of X. It's just every day, every minute, and it's all nonsense and it's all lies, and none of the comments are in his favor. It's always like 85% shitting on him and like 20% like, you're the greatest, Joe. Like, we love you, Joe. Best president in history, followed by 50 messages of complaints or comments. So yeah, this whole weird thing, I get it. And I agree with Russell Brand that they have to kind of use that as their ploy going forward, because they have to be careful. They're kind of in timeout from the harsh rhetoric, which is very dangerous. And I think they should go back to being professionals about this. You know what I mean? It doesn't paint a good picture for our kids to see these hateful commercials, these hateful debates. Like there really is no decorum and there is no discipline worldwide.
You'd think that they would come up with something a little bit better than weird. I mean, that sounds like a junior high lunch table. Oh, that guy over there is weird.
Well, they really come across as the bullies, don't they? They really come across as the bullies. Like, imagine if we were, you started calling some kid weird over and over again, then he commits a mass shooting. All the lefties were like, well, he was bullied, and this is why we got to stop the bullying, and it's all because it's like, no, that motherfucker was weird. But we don't say those kinds of things because we don't want to get our schools shot up. And then here the left is just going hard in the paint on this. He doesn't laugh. Like, I don't necessarily need a politician that laughs.
Right. And Pete Buttigieg calling anybody weird is just the irony in that is.
Yeah, and they've got guys like is it John Podesta? Anthony Podesta?
One of those sounds right.
One of those sounds right. I don't know. You got Hunter Biden, that stuff is weird. There's a lot of weirdos in the White House right now, and that's where you want to go. Your Secretary of Defense, that's a he-she thing that is just god ugly, just the most disgusting thing to look at, and you're calling JD Vance weird. That's super funny, but
it's all manufactured support though, because here is that same rally. Notice Kamala has just taken a stage, and what we're going to pan to is showing all the people that have already left
or leaving. Like, it looks like it's the end of the show. Like, everybody's like,
she just got on stage. The twerking is over, and the laughter from Kamala has started, and no one wants to hear it. So I just ask this. What has she done in the last 3 years as vice president that we're all like, yeah, that's the thing that we got behind? Because I don't have one. I have the borders are. That is an absolute abortion. Should never have happened. She has nothing of success for whatever reason. There's nothing there. Then all of a sudden, they're going to throw all the support for Joe Biden. He's not going to pull out. And then in a matter of seconds, within a matter of week, Donald Trump try to assassinate Donald Trump. The end of the next week, she's the vice president and goes from the vice president to becoming the nominee for the Democratic Party that absolutely no one voted for whatsoever. Now she's going to get this $100 million in a week and then get another $100 million. She's raised more money in the last couple of weeks than Joe Biden's been able to do in the last couple of years. How is this money laundering? Where does this money come from? Because I don't know. I suspect that we just spent a lot of billions of dollars has gone to Ukraine. A lot of money has gone over to Israel, and we don't have any receipts for anything. But now we have $200 million that have come from some grandma in BFE, Georgia, that it's made 3,000 $200 donations to Act Blue in the last 26 minutes. So she's on her computer every 3 minutes going up. Yep, I got to get another one. Up, you got to get another one. Up, you got to get another one. It's either that or there's money laundering. Like, this is what's going on. It's being thrown right down our face. We've got this to get into the next thing with the Google stuff. The weird, they're pushing weird because that's what they want to have the talking point. The talking point they don't want is the talking about the questions of who tried to kill the president. We know the guy that shot it, but where was this? Did he have support? What support was there? Why didn't we have people? We don't want people asking those very simple questions because those are hard questions that the Secret Service and the FBI can't answer because they don't have answers for those. They want to just keep pushing. So we're going to be weird. And then Google's going to say, well, if you try to search for Donald Trump, and that's going to be a glitch. And then Meta's going to say it's a glitch. And then Instagram's going to say it's a glitch. Well, how is it only a glitch?
Right, and we have don't forget about the glitch with the money the day before Trump's assassination. That was a glitch. It was supposed to be $1,200, not $12 million that they bet against Trump the day before he was assassinated by a company, an investment company, that's owned by BlackRock and has ties to the Bush family and yada, yada, yada. I mean, it's like everything is a glitch. What he's referring to here is that Google, for those of you who live under a rock, which is what we're here for. We're here for you. So I'm not insulting you for living under a rock, but Google, if you try to type in Trump assassination attempt or Trump anything, what comes up is, go ahead and put it on the screen, everything that has to do with Kamala Harris. So go ahead and go through that with us really quick, Josh.
So if you type in assassination attempt of, the one that should come up first is Donald Trump, because if you want to talk about algorithms and how that works, that's what people are searching for. The algorithm sees a bunch of requests for that. It's going to start looking for those requests and start filling those. And that's what's going to start pushing. So with Twitter, when you see something's trending and things like that, that's how that works. So this AI machine that they have behind it is going to help autofill all of those words in. So instead of autofilling the words in for Trump, the assassination of Ronald Reagan, the assassination attempt of Ronald Reagan, the list of attempted assassinations, this assassination attempt meaning, assassination attempt of Andre France, Austria, like has nothing to do with what we're just talking about that happened within the last 30 days. That's Google. So then you go to AI and Meta. Tell me about the Trump assassination of Trump. I can't assist with that. I don't always have access to the most up-to-date information. Okay, cool. Tell me about Kamala Harris campaign. Kamala Harris 24 presidential campaign, which literally started 7 days after. So you have 7 more days of up-to-date information that you could have had. But 7 days after, we can give information for Kamala Harris and we won't give information for Trump because it's a glitch. This glitch always happens in one direction. Is that, if you guys following? Only goes in, the glitch only happens when we're going to throw money against someone's going to get assassinated. And it doesn't happen. It's only going to happen when we're going to censor the Hunter Biden laptop. Oops, we censored that. Sorry, that may have changed an election. Hey, the guy that just tried to get assassinated, that picture that's all over social media, that even Zuckerberg himself said was a powerful picture. Yeah, we're going to label that as misinformation, as a glitch. So for the entire 24, 48 hours, it's going to be labeled as a glitch. So how many left-wing people, or how many people just in the middle that just get on Facebook to just get on Facebook? They want to get out there and share their cat pictures and see their kids from their neighborhood kids and all that stuff. And then they see this picture, goes, oh, this looks like it's a big, powerful picture. Something happened here. All these pictures fake. This is fake news. It didn't happen. We're trying to erase history in front of our stuff in real time. We talked about it last week with Kamala Harris. They trying to get away with calling her the border czar. That came from the White House. And they're saying that didn't happen. It happened. I seen it. I watched it. I heard it. It happened. But they're saying that didn't happen. It's incredibly scary how much is happening in front of us in real time. In just the last 2 weeks, we should be scared what's going to happen in the next 7 days. Before we got a lot of time before the election.
Well, I told you that we had to have a World War III. World War III is happening, and this falls on the heels of Israel, which was what I was talking about earlier in the show with Israel putting out, with Iran putting out warnings of a potential election interference or an assassination on Trump. And then all of a sudden we have this young man that doesn't kill Trump, but then he's dead. And now we have all of these questions into his Express VPN and his encrypted accounts and who he was talking to. And so they've kind of loosely tried to here and there mention Iran and bring up Iran in as many of these things. Earlier on my sheets, I was gonna pull up I had pulled up the references that they made from this assassination attempt to Iran. And so I had said with that information, I said that I think that this was supposed to fall on Iran from the get-go, but of course the yarn has unraveled from this quilt and they're no longer able to put the pieces together, and it's just kind of falling apart at the seams. And so now we weeks later have Iran being bombed by Israel, and now the media is trying to cover it up and not really put the news out there. CNN World did cover it, but it's not big headline news, even though I think this is probably the most important news in the world at the moment, which is Israel let a bomb into Beirut. It killed a bunch of people. But it's not so much that, it's what Hezbollah and the senior military officials have said the retaliation will be. Let me just read this from CNN World News really fast for you. Beirut, CNN, Israel says its strike in Beirut, Lebanon on Tuesday killed Hezbollah's most senior military commander, who was blamed for a deadly attack in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, or Golan. I probably have a bad pronunciation on that. But in a statement, the Israel Defense Forces said Israeli Air Force fighter jets eliminated the Hezbollah terrorist organization most senior military commander Fuad Shukur. Hezbollah and Lebanese authorities have not yet confirmed the death. At least 3 people were killed in the Israeli strike targeting Hezbollah commander in Lebanon, and 74 people were injured, according to health ministries in Lebanon. The health ministry said that 2 children and women were killed in the strike. Lebanese media reported the injured, including some with serious wounds, have been taken to nearby hospitals. But let me go down. Meanwhile, Israel's national security ministers Itamar bin Yaver said in a separate post on his official Twitter account that every dog shall have its day. He also said that this was a line in the sand. This was a clear red line. The sequence of attacks marked the most significant Israeli escalation since tensions between Israel and Hezbollah flared October 7th. What we have here in less words is that this is going to be a much broader conflict. This is going to be a ground invasion. We're going to see it any day. There has been rumored threats of this going nuclear from Iran. They say that this was that the rumor is that because this, when he means this is a clear red sand, means that like you cross the line in the sand, and that gives us an opportunity to use these weapons. Here's another quote. We don't want this to escalate into a wider war, and ultimately whether this escalates or not very much depends on how Hezbollah reacts now. This is what Israeli officials told CNN. So we don't want this to, but it all depends on them. Well, they're really pissed, and they're really not happy, and they have promised and vowed that they will have retaliation. So I told you guys, my Nostradamus prediction was that we would be in World War III before the start of the election. And this is only further evidence or proof that that is coming. And so, yeah, Armory Knight in the chat says that Venezuela is in a civil war or the start of one. Yeah, we'll cover that. We'll cover that here in just a minute too before we get out of here. But real quick, what you guys' take on this this bombing in Lebanon, which shows a clear and present danger, which has threats and warnings going out via Twitter and rumored things, and our media is absolutely silent about this.
Right. It's scary times because Iran's like your crazy drunk uncle at Christmas. You don't know what he's going to do, but you know he's capable of doing anything. And this is very, very scary stuff because what happens when there's, a conflict over there? We get involved. And then our guys have to get involved, and, we lose people. So with not knowing exactly what they're going to do, and with the rumored threats of nuclear, it's scary. And I don't know why our media's, I know why our media is silent about it, but the fact that we allow that to happen is beyond me.
Well, if you take it back and if Putin does that, right, if he takes out a top military official in Ukraine, but he kills 3 children or whatever it was, wounds 74 other people, our mainstream media would be calling Putin, war criminal and everything like that, which, agree to an extent that none of these things are acceptable, right? Either you're going to have to fight a war and accept civilian casualties, or you're just gonna, I don't know any way around it. Like, but the thing is calling Putin a war criminal and then allowing Israel to do the exact same thing isn't a good look. I'd say you just let war be war and kind of try to keep it reasonable. Again, I guess that would be a very big argument of what is actually reasonable, but war is hell, and that's just the way it works. However, this has been escalating. It's needed to escalate. I think from the beginning, they've wanted it to escalate into a full out, very broad conflict, a World War III type situation, because they need the distraction. The warlords need to, the industrial military complex needs those gears to be rolling. So I don't know. We'll see on this. I think this was a lot bigger news than mainstream media gave it credit to. I am in fear of what's next. We've got nuclear planes from China flying over Alaska airspace in the last couple of weeks. We've got nuclear subs coming on the East Coast from Russia. Now you have Iran threatening. It's just everybody is threatening. It doesn't seem like there's actually anything to de-escalate this going forward. And again, Google censoring things. It's hard to get real pertinent information from Google because it kind of manipulates what you put into Google. And, hopefully we can get the big tech right now, though, the big cheating scandal for October. For me, it's clear, right? Like there's no argument there that big tech is trying to foil world plans, essentially.
Well, yeah, they're definitely dictating what information we get. There's no doubt about that.
They've opened Pandora's box and will do whatever it takes at this point.
Let's head over real quick, finish up with the Olympics. We have the female rugby taking bronze. Big fan of rugby. I wore my USA rugby jersey from the very first USA Rugby Olympics 4 years ago. That was really fun. The Summer Olympics with Summer Sevens, and I'm a big rugby guy, so I was rooting for the women's rugby. Skateboarding, America took silver in that as well. So good job, boys, there. But what we have here is in the last couple of weeks, July 14th, you had 3 biological males winning the women's cyclist in Washington State, and then you have boxing in the Olympics. We have 2 biological males boxing in the women's Olympics. What did you just have up there, Josh?
That was the rugby win.
Oh, good. I just saw that the last thing.
We've got the male boxers. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. If you were born with a penis, you're a guy. Okay, your shoulders, your genetics are different. Even though if you want to be a soy boy, you're still a boy.
I'd say though, if you're born with both, like if you have a wiener and a vajayjay, like you're a straight up hermaphrodite, like we should just make that a thing. Like if you're a hermaphrodite, like we're gonna empathize with you because that sucks, right? Like,
according to Interact, a major organization for intersectional rights in the United States, that there's only 1.7% of the population have some variation of sexual development. 0.5% have an atypical genitalia, and 0.05% have mixed ambiguous genitalia.
So it's like nobody.
0.05%. So if you were taking grains of sand, the last 3 or 4 that are in the crack of your hand when you're trying to clean it, that's the 2 or 3. That's the 0.505% that we're talking about there.
Yeah, but what if they want to be Olympic athletes?
Well, for those very, 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 very few, generally speaking, from what I understand, they're at some point in their adolescence, they're, I would say, told to choose, but they're whichever way they lean, and that's which way you kind of go.
Yeah,
but it's such a
if you let them compete
number. If they're going to go one way, at that point, your genetics haven't been decided. You've got multiple genetics in there. You got multiple things in there.
Maybe just do the Special Olympics.
You could do that, but I wouldn't let a male fight in a female Olympics. I wouldn't do that, but that's happening. Yeah. There's a convicted rapist in the Olympics. That's happening.
Wait, are you not allowed to be a convicted criminal to be in the Olympics?
Oh, no, you can. You can. I believe it was convicted of raping a 12-year-old.
Gross.
A 12-year-old?
Yeah.
At what age? Like, you talking about a 16-year-old raping a 12-year-old? Or are we talking like a 20-year-old man.
Let me pull that one up specifically. The Olympics releases a statement after controversial inclusion of convicted rapist Stephen Van de Velde. The International Committee has found itself at the center of controversy following the decision to include a Dutch volleyball player and convicted rapist Stephen Van de Velde in the Olympic Games. Here, let me pull this up so you guys can see what I'm saying. Well, maybe not, because we got ads everywhere. IOC clarified that athletes for the selection for Olympics primarily falls under the jurisdiction of individual national Olympic committees rather than the IOC itself. The statement came in response to uproar surrounding eligibility to compare the Olympic Games. Let me see if they actually say how he was. Of course, they don't put that in there.
Right. They'll usually put the best stuff at the last paragraph.
There it is. He pled guilty in 2016 of 3 counts of rape of a 12-year-old British girl, which took place in 2014. Enjoy that gold medal, buddy.
Yeah, you fucking piece of shit. NBC News, 2 boxers who were disqualified from competing with women at a global event last year have been permitted to fight in the Paris Olympics. The International Olympic Committee confirmed Iman Kelf from Algeria and Lin Yu Tang from Taiwan failed to meet gender eligibility tests at their Women's World Boxing Championships in New Delhi last year, prompting their disqualifications, but they have been cleared to compete in the women's 66 kilogram and women's 57 kilogram matches in Paris this week. The IOC confirmed its email on Tuesday. Absolutely insanity. At the time of their disqualifications, the president of the International Boxing Association, which governs the World Boxing Championships, alleged that the boxer's chromosome test came back as XY. Women typically have 2 X chromosomes, while men typically have an X and a Y chromosome. So they're definitely biological men. Based on DNA tests, we identified a number of athletes who tried to trick their colleagues into posing as women. The association's president, Umar Kamarlev, told Russia TASS news agency at the time, according to the results of the test, it was proved that they have XY chromosomes. Such athletes were excluded from competition. Cleve and Lynn have both always competed as women, and there's no indication that either identifies as transgender or intersex, the latter referring to those born with sex characteristics that don't fit strictly into a male-female gender binary. Following her disqualification last year, Khalif told Algeria's Inanar TV that some did not want Algeria to win a gold medal. This is a conspiracy and a big conspiracy. We will not be silent about it, she said. Lynn does not appear to have commented publicly on her disqualifications. So, I mean, I'll tell you right now, like, zero tolerance. No woman should compete. No man, biological man, should ever compete in the women's Olympics. Now, if they want, you know, if you want to be empathetic to say, like, I don't care if some sports want to adopt men and women into the sport. Like, just open it. Like, you can be man or woman and compete in an open. Like, maybe they have the men's qualifier, or, like, you know, men's street, like, let's say skateboarding, for instance. Maybe you have men's street skateboarding, you have women's street skateboarding, and then you have open street skateboarding. Because I could see where if you're really, really, really good woman and you think you can beat men, why not join the open? And it gives you another opportunity. So what, like for swimming, like, why don't you have the men's 100, the women's 200, and then an open 200 where it can just be men and women and anybody?
And then the rules are stated. You know, they're right there. It's clear. It's defined. And you know, where we thought it was clear and defined, men's and women's, now that those lines are getting crossed and blurred. But I agree with you, Eric. I mean, I think that's the way to go.
But it all goes back to this whole Olympic agenda, where that's what this agenda was. This agenda was to confuse everybody worldwide. It was to put religions, worldwide religions. It's wanting to unite everybody under one world religion where everything is acceptable. They want to tear down the Christians. They want to tear down the Muslims. They want to offend each one of these governing religions to end religion, which is actually spelled out in the Bible. Like, that is the key to Revelations. One world government, one world language, one religion. You know, that's all very end of days type behavior. And then, of course, you have all the satanic references that we've talked about Monday with Jessica Sutter from the Pussycat Dolls, which was such a fun episode. New episode of Night Shift TSI coming out tonight with Jessica Sutter, all about her vaccine injury and how she got to be where she's at on staff with Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr. Really good episode of Night Shift Top Secret Information. So go to Night Shift TSI and subscribe to that show. Also, don't forget about Anti-Hero Podcast, Two Cops, One Donut, Donut Shop Podcast, all here on the network. Next, we're going fast. We got the big website coming. It's just taking a little bit longer than we thought to build out. Of course, we got the whole book thing coming too. All these things take a lot more time than I ever thought. Now I think I know why people keep things secrets until it happens. I didn't realize that life took this fucking long to make things happen. Bosco Audrey from Forever Road Podcast says, don't forget about Forever Road Podcast. Definitely don't if you're a big Almonds Brother fan. If you're just a fan of hanging out and Will Cray, music, auto stuff. It's a fun little podcast, and it's a fan-run podcast here. Fellow Wolfpackers, we love them. And of course, another one that we have is things. What was on being a police officer and things police officers see. It's another big one. And then I was also a guest on an IA on Marlon's podcast, and so you can go to our Instagram and see the clip there. Go over there and listen to my interview over there with IA. You guys know how I feel about IA and internal affairs. And so anyway, Rad said, so co-ed, LOL. No, not co-ed, because you're individually competing, right? So like in swimming, it's not like a team-based thing. It's like if you want to swim against guys and girls and see if you're just truly the fastest in the world, why not just have an open 100-meter race and guys and girls can compete in it? I don't like co-ed basketball, although I don't know, maybe co-ed basketball would be fun. You got chicks banging threes from the outside while the men are in there dunking and jamming. That might be kind of cool to watch, because the girls don't really slam and jam, do they? Not a lot of slam dunking in women's basketball.
Not typically.
They're really good at fouling people. I've watched a lot of fouls in the WNBA this season.
Yeah. Although, you couldn't do co-ed with like rugby, because like I've played co-ed rugby and it's weird, man. Like I am not going to go blast a chick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not going to go fucking knock the brakes. But here's the thing is, those girls will hit you really fucking hard. Like in jiu-jitsu, when I'm rolling with another female, there's no way I'm going to murder the chick that I'm on. I'm not going to get fat and heavy on her. I'm not going to rub my fucking balls all up in her face and get north to south on her and everything like that. But you know what? They go hard as fuck on you and will knee bar the shit out of you, will fucking north to south on you and like make it super awkward. And I get it. Like that's part of it. But like in real life competition, that would not be... Like, I think it would just not go well.
So what you're saying is there's physical advantages that the male body has over females, and that's why
and most sports now, I do think that women do have a chance, maybe in some like maybe, I don't know a lot about swimming, but
chess.
I mean, I don't know. Do women have a chance in swimming faster than a dude? Are there any women that are faster than dudes, like in leg races? No, that doesn't exist.
No, like if you take a man that's maybe in the top 150 of whatever he's competing in and put him in the women, he's going to destroy the women.
Okay.
And that's a lot of what's going on. That's exactly what's happening. They have competed as males before. They were not very good. They were definitely not going to be in the Olympics. They definitely weren't going to be NCAA champions. They weren't going to be winning things that they would have done had they just competed against people that they normally would compete against. So then they say, hey, I'm a girl. And now they just go and destroy all these records that have been set by females. Yeah, I'm not. I didn't say it.
Somebody said I would watch Red beat Tanzi in a game of basketball. Folk around found out in the chat says I'd watch. It's happened. Red and I have played basketball against each other in the hood. And I embarrassed her in front of all of her hood friends. I balled her, as they say, like I balled her. I took her to school, no cap. I don't think she thought I could dunk in all that equipment that I was wearing, because it was in our police uniform. And no, I think actually the funny thing is I did play basketball in my uniform and I popped a rib out of place. It was already out of place. It was getting better from a rugby injury. And then I went up for like a big layup, and the jerking of my arm upwards re-injured that rib, and I had to go to the hospital. It sucked because it was like a rib that wasn't really in place. But anyway, at the end of the day, fucking Red's got no chance balling against me. Hopefully Red will come out to Orlando to the meetup. Maybe we'll set up a hoop and I'll take her to school like I used to back in the old days. Guys, this has been another last call episode. Sorry, it was all over the place today. Just a lot of news going on. Lots going on. Make sure you tune in today to Night Shift Top Secret Information. and you'll take a look at that. And then I think, was there news about members only getting the sports show Illegal Shift, and then it goes out on public afterwards on the One More and I'm Out of Here YouTube channel?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead and give us that update really quick.
So John and I are still kind of in talks, and then obviously getting with you. But that is a potential. And then we're actually going live at noon today.
Okay, so it'll be members only live at noon on Failure to Stop, and then it will go out on One More and I'm Out of Here podcast afterwards.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
So there you go. So make sure you go over there and follow One More and I'm Out of Here on the YouTubes. And that way, if you miss the live shows here on Failure to Stop, you can still catch it over there on the One More and I'm Out of Here podcast, all the sports updates, and plus their shows full of sports updates. Lots going on. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully we give you enough news to at least keep you somewhat in the know. Knowing is half the battle. Until next time, guns up and giddy up.
See you.